good evening, as we film this, to Tabletop Saga, which we've not done anything for a little while, but finally Robin has returned to the dining table and we are going to chat crap about the old world. So, what are we going to talk about tonight, Robin?
Scenarios. Basically, we can discuss as many topics as we can before we get to actually playing a game, so we'll cover all the bits about the build-up to the game.
How you do the game without ever having done one. Yeah. Okay, so yes, scenarios. Basically, we were, ironically, given what we've just said, thinking, would you ever get to a point where you've done all the scenarios in the book and you think, I kind of want to go down a new route. I want to come up with my own scenarios, but I'm a bit stuck. I can't really think of an inspiration, or, nothing really lends itself to me and stands out as an idea for
and playing the same game, especially as once our armies are ready, it takes a bit of time to then do a new unit. Playing the same game again and again and again is going to get repetitive.
A trifle dull, yes. Yeah, indeed. So we went away after having the initial conversation that sparked this, and we both had a think and came up with some ideas that you can use for your own games of Warhammer the Old World. And even if maybe what we talk about isn't exactly what you want to do, hopefully it kind of gets those creative juices going and you can go away, take something from this video and come up with some scenarios for yourself. So that brings us to the start, which is one thing that we both really like is history. So we were thinking actually a really good way of doing a Warhammer the Old World scenario is to look at history and look for examples that you can follow.
Yeah.
So the first one I was thinking of actually was the Teutoburg Forest, which I know you know what it is. So do you want to tell the good people at home in case they don't know what it is?
So from a historical point of view, Aurelian, is it Aurelian? No, it's not Aurelian. It doesn't matter who it is. Some Romans are marching through a forest. The Germans do not want them there, and they ambush them and run out the forest. So yeah. It's your ambush scenario.
Exactly. So it's Varus is the Roman commander.
There's a TV series about it called Barbarians.
Oh, is that what it's about?
Yeah, that's where it ends up with.
Ah, I've never watched that program. I didn't know that was. Is it not? Well, I won't watch that program. So basically, imagine that you're a terrified Roman legionary and you're marching through this forest, and you can hear all these war horns and everything going off, and you can hear guys being kind of slaughtered behind and in front of you. And then imagine actually what you are is a soldier of the Empire, and you're marching through Drachenwald Forest or where have you? And a bunch of beasts of chaos are coming.
You also have to match the scenario a little bit to the armies you're playing. So if you take your example, replace your Romans with the Empire, you can imagine them being ambushed by orcs or beastmen. It's not going to be Bretonians ambushing them out of the forest. Really, it could be, but you can pick a historic scenario that suits the armies you've got.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
on the table.
Totally. So, I mean, ambush definitely chaos, both kinds. Wood elves of an ambush.
Yeah, but I think you said chaos, both kinds. It's still a case of fitting, isn't it? Like chaos warriors, I don't think of as hiding in the woods.
No,
whereas the beastmen, you pick a different historic scenario for that. So say you had doing dwarves and goblins, or dwarves and someone, you can go, Thermopylae, the Hot Gates, just defend a mountain hold, a mountain path.
Yeah, that is a really good one. I mean, I think that's kind of a classic as well. I mean, if you're going to go for that, you could also what am I looking for? Change. You can tweak the scenario. So you can say, well, actually, the dwarves, they're going to be outnumbered. So they'll have half the points that the orcs and goblins will have. And yeah, sure, a horde army like orcs and goblins, that's going to be huge. But you can also think, much like at Thermopylae, those Spartans knew there was no way out from there.
Yeah.
These dwarves know there is no way out from this fantasy version of Thermopylae. So they're not going to break. They're not going to run away. You can just change that in the rules just for this one game. I think it's a bit of fun. You can
make special rules up as well, can't you? Things like, the dwarves have prepared a trap that's effectively like a rock slide or something like that. So at some point during the game, they can trigger that. And
yeah, I like that.
Or one of their runesmiths can hit a hammer on something and some rocks fall on one of the units or something like that. You can do that kind of thing because the scenario is inherently unbalanced anyway. So as long as you don't go too crazy, like too far one with the other, you're not going to break the scenario because it's not that kind of scenario.
Yeah, plus, I mean, if you think about some of the old, I don't know how many times I say this on this channel, but the old White Dwarfs, and there would be battle reports or little scenarios that they put in there, usually written by someone like Nigel Stillman, and it would give you some fairly unbalanced rules, actually, that certain sides would have, because it was fun. And as long as it's fun, who cares if it's both sides have an even chance?
I think it's just the thing, you both have to know the kind of game you're going to play. Because that's where it isn't fun. If one person turns up thinking they're going to play a 1,500 point scenario out the book
game
where we deploy even in that, and the other person's like, oh no, I've written this cool scenario where this happens and this happens and this happens, and half your army teleports off the table because they fell down a hole. Well, that person, that's not what they wanted to play.
That would be rubbish.
I think you need, again,
plus as well, I mean, if you're going in with that mindset, if you've gotten the pre-agreed special scenario, you can come up with an army that fits it.
Yeah.
You know, you can take units that will think, well, what's the theme?
More importantly, I think that fits it thematically rather than fits it from a meta point of view.
No, 100% thematically. I mean, I'm thinking if you're the Orcs and Goblins player in that scenario we've just spoken about, I would probably want to take as many goblins as I had. A horde of chaff against those units that are not going to run away. You just see how many it takes. It will just look amazing.
Yeah, but you've just based it on the film 300, which you're like, okay, cool. Some chariots and whatever.
Yeah.
4 boys. That sort of thing. Yeah, that sort of thing. Because there's rhinos and random beasts that get sent down, isn't there?
I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, rather, if someone in the comments said, we were the boar boys.
Yeah. You could do Alexander. You could watch Alexander the Great and then do Gargamella somehow if you've got something like a high elf army or something, lots of cavalry.
Yeah. I mean, I think actually that's the thing, is that because Warhammer itself is so very clearly based on real history, I think that is like perfect fodder. You're going to watch films and read books and read real historical accounts, and there's going to be so many parallels. I find that really inspiring, actually, in terms of coming up with army lists and scenarios.
It'd actually be an interesting one, because if you kind of you can, nothing stops you setting up the scenario to be halfway through the battle.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
Or as in like halfway through the historical battle, if that makes sense. So you could have your general in his bodyguard unit is already right away over on the right flank because it's done, which actually creates an interesting scenario for you as the attacker, because you now don't have your general's leadership and that in the middle.
Yeah, no,
he's over there.
I actually really like that idea.
So you'd force yourself. What would be taken out is you'd force the deployment. Whereas if you had a chaos sword and a chariot, that'd be perfect for Darius. He'd be in the middle, so he's got the benefit of having his general in the middle. You've got yours stuck out on the right flank, but maybe you start off with them deployed halfway across the table, further forward, or whatever, something like that. Or maybe they even come on the table on the second turn from a flanking maneuver, something like that. But there's also a penalty to it as well.
Yeah. So again, the key thing is you let the story drive the scenario, really, and see where that leads you. Put a few tweaks in there, and actually, I think you come up with a really fun game then.
Yeah, I think that'd be quite an interesting one to play. And again, you can do it with lots of armies. Along, I guess there's no one that doesn't have cavalry. Oh, dwarves, I guess, don't have cavalry. But
no,
you have gyrocopters all over the place.
Ride of the Valkyries as you do it. Those goblins don't surf. Okay, so I think we've kind of wended our way through the valley of historical inspiration there, but let's say we want to come into the future. Anything else you can think of?
So is it cheating? It's AI.
AI, or as my dad likes to call it,
A1.
Al. Well, no, he actually calls it Al.
Oh, not A1.
Not A1, but that's even scarier because they're in a position of influence and power.
So ChatGPT, free app that uses AI, and my understanding is basically AI in that essence is effectively a really good search engine that pulls things together. That's my understanding about
I
it.
like to think of it.
I don't think it actually creates anything, does it? I think
no,
because that's how you end up with people with 6 fingers and stuff. Because it pulls things together, and you end up with people with 3 hands or whatever. That's my understanding of how it works.
I felt like AI is basically the people who came up with Ask Jeeves wanted Ask Jeeves to be AI.
Yeah.
Your own personal digital butler.
Yeah. But you can use it as well as for like cheating in your work and things like that. You can also use it to generate scenarios.
Which I have to say, I have been staggered by.
And it's as simple as generate me a Warhammer the Old World scenario for Chaos versus High Elves and 1500 points.
Yeah.
And I've done 2 or 3 and they're different every time. It's not pulling from the same thing and going, oh, yes, I take the objective, and it comes up with special rules. And again, it might not be the most inherently balanced thing because I don't know how it generates these things, because some of the rules it generated are not from the scenarios in the rulebook.
No, but it comes up with names, doesn't it, for each scenario? It comes up with names for characters. It comes up with pictures for characters. It comes up with... Did you get it to do a campaign as well?
Yeah. So it's done I said, can you turn this into a 3-battle campaign? It does that. And it's a tricky one, because if someone charged me money for a campaign book that they'd generated using ChatGPT, I'd be pretty miffed, to be honest, that it wasn't.
Yeah. And just to say, I'm opening a paid Patreon where I'm going to be selling campaign packs.
Well, I did have to spend 20 minutes talking to the AI about it to get it to do it.
But time is money.
But I think it's quite good. Even if it doesn't work, and sometimes it does janky things, and you're like, no, can you read it? Then you will realize you're talking to it in a weird way. But it does things that don't quite work. Yeah, okay, cool. But that's a starting point. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, the campaign books that GW's done over time, the scenarios, they're not play tested. They're not play tested for 2 years, are they? But as a starting point, and if you were like, let's play a game once a week, here's a campaign with names for your characters, some background lore.
Yeah.
I think you can use it to do... Because the really cool thing, I know we're talking about scenarios specifically, but campaigns, is when the players don't know what's going on. Like, as in, you've got a third-party campaign, not manager, games master or whatever.
Yeah.
Who's giving the people, this is what's happening next.
But I also wonder as well, if you could take that and condense it a bit so that your scenario, you ask the AI to say, this is your deployment, and this is your army list, and this is what the initial objective will be. But you could say to it, I've now achieved that objective on turn 3.
What's next? What
do I do now? And what does the other army do? And you could have a progressive...
Yeah, if you're willing to play a slightly...
system.
Just accept, okay, this game's going to take a bit longer because we're going to experiment with halfway through, we're going to tell it, we've done this.
Yeah.
What happens now? Or the dwarves the orcs have captured the dwarven runesmith or shrine. What happens now? And it will generate things like, Grungy turns up and starts killing people, or the orc that captured it becomes empowered and grows to double the... It will give you stuff like that along with a few special rules. So I think it's a really interesting tool. It definitely shouldn't replace people doing...
Well, it's a big part of the hobby, isn't it? But...
cool things. But as a starting point, I think it's really good. And I think it's pretty clever, the stuff it puts together.
I was just super impressed by the fact that it seemed to grasp what you were asking. It wasn't just coming out with the kind of mission you would see in the rulebook, just copy-pasted. Yeah. It was actually as if someone had thought about this. And as you say, it had the special rules and the little tweaks in there. And it had backstory. Yeah. It had actual backstory. It was... I mean, how many pages is that pack that you've generated, did you say?
16 pages, I think it is.
I mean, 16 pages. I am actually blown away by this.
Yeah, obviously, so if as long as it never replaces, maybe that's GW. How GW are going to write campaign packs in the future with their own branded AI, which costs more than all the other AIs. But
the Omnissiah.
yeah, they will definitely do one called the Machine Spirit, which will be a scenario generator using AI. Why have they not done that? Because I'm amazed they haven't done STCs instead of STLs yet and called them that.
Do you know, actually, what's their email address? Have they got
I've got £1 million idea. It's a good way to kickstart your creative juices, I think.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I can imagine it would be really useful if you are, say you're in a group and you can get a proper campaign going and you're the campaign master. That's actually quite a lot to keep on top of.
Especially as it's, like we said, generate your own scenarios. It can be hard to not do the same scenario again and again.
Yeah. And just even adding in that extra random little bit of...
Yeah, even if you just go to, I'm playing Chaos versus High Elves, and use that example again. Give me some special rules for a enchanted forest.
Yeah, exactly. It could just
I know there is
just
some specific scenery rules in there for different things, I think. But again, just another unexpected...
Yeah. Just chuck a little twist in there. I mean, I think actually A1, Al, AI, the Machine Spirit, has some real value in not so much, as you say, completely replacing the process of doing your own scenarios and your own campaigns, but certainly as a starting point.
No, I don't feel like I'm doing any creative person out of a job by using it or anything. I think that's an important thing.
I mean, to be honest, what I really like about it is just how good the pack looks.
Yeah.
And it would be really cool if you did come up with, even if you wrote the scenario yourself, but then you just told the AI, I'd like you to turn this into a really nice looking...
And add some backstory.
A backstory and a printout that I can then laminate and run at a games day or something and get other people playing it.
Yeah, I think also then, because once you've played 2 or 3 games with your characters, with the names and stuff, they're probably going to stick.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be the name of your Elven General, your Empire Captain, etc. They're going to stick. And I'm sure you can go back to ChatGPT and go, oh, I've played those 3 games. The Elves won. The Elf Army, I now want to use the same leader against a Orc Incursion or something. Give me a campaign for that.
Yeah.
You can definitely get it to... because it remembers all your conversations, worryingly. Yeah, it's not going to give you something that looks as good as a GW produced pack or something like that, because it does janky things, and I've had to, it did me a pack and it had 3 front covers, and I had to say, well, you put the back cover at the front twice and things like that. It doesn't matter. Right?
No.
All I'm actually after is just that creative inspiration.
So there we are. The Machine Spirit is the way to go. I think that was hopefully useful and a bit illuminating. Maybe you're not as technologically backward as I am, so you're probably not going to be as amazed by the AI that I was. But hopefully you will still go have a play. What is it? You use ChatGPT?
Yeah, ChatGPT, yeah.
I'm sure others are available. But maybe go have a play, see what you can come up with. And if you come up with anything really good, please do stick it in the comments and I'll have a look, and maybe I can use them in my games going forward. But until next time, when the AI has taken over...
What the AI can't do is paint your armies.
Yeah, tell me about it.
That's the problem.
We need those STCs.
Yeah.
Pre-painted STCs. Oh, well. Enough of that. See you later. Bye.